Hilchos Melochim Perek Zayin Halacha Zayin. We begin. Echad Amaras is a Basulo. Somebody. This applies to somebody who became engaged, meaning he gave a ring to a unmarried woman. Echad is Amaras Almona, or somebody who betrothed a widow. And we'll go to the Peirush, meaning the anointed Kohen, who is called the war priest, would announce, as we find in Rambam 20 verse 7, whoever has betrothed a woman, has not yet married her fully by taking her in his home, should go home. It doesn't matter whether she was a maiden or a widow, or if his brother died without children, and he fell before him. Even if there are 5 brothers, one of them died, and they all go back. Because the mission of Raz cited Bryce and Soitim and Dalad Amar Aleph. It says, if somebody takes a new wife, he should not go out to the war. I only know a new one. How do I know about a widow or a divorcee? It says Isha. It says any woman. And what does it say, Chadosha? Why say a new one? That's new for him. That this excludes somebody who's taking back his divorcee. You know, it's a mitzvah. He would not go back from the war if he had not yet brought her into his home. I go to Maimonides cites in Sifri. It says when a person in Peirush HaMeir say someone take a new wife, I only know a maiden. How do I know a widow or divorcee or a levirate woman? The Talmud Loimer, therefore it says he shall make his wife happy in any case. And why is it Chadashah? That he was never his wife, his wife. This is the exclusion of somebody who's bringing him back home his former wife as bringing back his divorcee. 5 brothers and one of them died. The Kesef Mishnah says even if it was in the war that he died, one day of the war, they all go back. The Ravaz cites a Bryce and Soita 43b. Even for 5 brothers and one of them died in war, they all go back. And the Gemara explains that each one is considered his wife because he has the ability to go through a levirate marriage with her. Because the Mishnah adds, even the Rambam left out a brother that died in the war, that he is of that opinion, as we find in the Mishnah in Soitim and Gimel Amar Aleph. If you heard that his brother died, while he's in war, he goes home. Even if his brother didn't die in the war, but if he heard that his brother at home died and he has to miyabim, he goes back. Rambam continues, Kiddush Isha, if he's betrothed a woman with money or a contract, and he wants that the Kedushin should take place only after 12 months, and the time came in the middle of the war, he goes back even though he's in the midst of a war. Because the mission of the Raz explain what says Me'achshov, from now, and it shows that after 12 months he was already to betroth, she was already to betroth, and he took her then. But he didn't say Me'achshov, he betrothed her only after the 12 months were over, and then he was already in the war, and therefore he would not go back. And that the Kesef Mishnah is forbidden to do so because everybody will go ahead and betroth a woman after if there's a war in order to not have to go to war. And it's not like a brother who died without children in the middle of a war that they go back, because that's not within their hands to their ability to make their brother die, and therefore it's not something that we have to worry about. The Lecha Mishnah and the Ravaz Sadi Yerushalmi. The Ravaz concludes, everybody says on conditions, like he says, from now. But we find Hilchos Ishus, the law dealing with wives, in chapter 6, Halacha 17. But the Hilchos Chinuch in Mitzvah 5:26 cites that says, somebody says to a woman, you are sanctified to me from now and after 30 days, and somebody else married her within the 30 days, she's married to both of them because we're not sure. They both have to give her a divorce. That's called from now and after 12 months. And the Rambam explains, isn't sure if his intent is to make a condition that after 12 months should happen, she should be sanctified, betrothed from now. Because when you say from now, it's like it says on condition, and therefore she was betrothed before he entered the war. Or when he says on condition, he can't, since it says, I am only considering it when it takes place after 12 months, and then it would have only taken place at the end. Now, Sunnah concludes that it goes back because it's doubt, and whenever we have a doubt whether a person is supposed to endanger his life, we don't let him endanger it. But he questions, it's a question, maybe it is a kedushin, even from now, before the war, why shouldn't he go back right away? Why does he wait till in the midst of the war? And he explains that even though his intent was that if after 12 months the kedushin should take effect to begin with, when he dies in the war, we see that the kedushin was uprooted to begin with, and she was never his betrothed, and it's not called he married a woman. Therefore, the law is that before the 12 months go by, he doesn't go back. Because only if he will not die, then she'll be betrothed. But if he'll die, he was never betrothed, and therefore, at the moment, he's not dead, and therefore he has to go to war. And we see the Rambam's the opinion, like the Rambam, the Rajba, that is, if I shall live to that point, it'll go backwards. But Almanas, there's a question whether she's at all married at that point, and therefore we go back. Maybe he won't die until 12 months, and will take effect. And after they'll die, and somebody will take his wife. The Torah was very stringent, lest he die, and somebody else will take her. And he continues on that the laws of Tnai, of condition, is only when he betroths a woman from now and after 12 months. Not only then, but also when he buys a house and a vineyard and a certain condition, the same conditions, even if the condition happens later, it's retroactively his house or his vineyard before the war, and he would go back from the war. Lidal Gazi is of the opinion, according to the Rambam, somebody says she's Mekudeshes from now, and after 12 months, he means if he will live. And so it would seem from Hilchos Issues, chapter 7, Halacha 12. Questions. Somebody who's found in war, he cannot sanctify a woman in order to thereby be freed from going to war. But if somebody sanctified a woman, and it'll take after 12 months, even without saying from now, and his intent is not lifter atzim Machon to cause himself to be freed from war, because he didn't know the Machon will take 12 months. And Machon Nesher HaGodol, the pasuk is talking about, we don't know how long it will take. Because the Mishnah does not make it similar to somebody who sanctified a woman during the war, that he cannot become freed from the war because of it. And the answer is that you have to say, that somebody says from now, his intent is that even if he wants to recant from the betrothal within 12 months, he cannot do so, and therefore he has to go back. But if somebody says after 12 months, it's as if he says it only takes effect after 30 days, that within the 30 days he can recant. Since the time he went to the war, before the 12 months were up, he could have recanted and nullified the betrothal. When he saw that the war is extending itself and he didn't do so, he's considered somebody who did it specifically to get out of the war. And he's similar to somebody who, during the war, betroths a woman to make himself ineligible to go to war. Like a Mishnah cites Yerushalmi, and with certain laws that the Rambam doesn't mention, and he cites what it says by a house. Why does it say Ashabon, which he built? Except for that, if the house fell down and he rebuilt it, that it's like returning his divorcee, and he would not go back from the wars. So Advance explains that the Rambam wrote in Halacha Ches that somebody who brings back his divorcee does not go back from war, and we'll know that certainly somebody who fell from his house fell and he rebuilt it, that he does not go back from the war. But Abdullah Paraldoy is of the opinion that the Rambam is not that, it doesn't agree with that, and therefore in Peirush HaMeir the Rambam writes in Soita, chapter 8, Mishnah 3, the Rambam writes that Allah is not like Rabbi Yehuda, that if he built a house where the old one was, that he does not go back, that he would go back. Rishalmi says if he married a barren woman, there is no obligation to live with her, and therefore he doesn't go back from the war. And the Shah points out in Lechem Mishnah that the Rambam did not cite this instance either.